I've got to go to the gym 5 days a week. I've got to do 15,000 steps, got to track my food, but I've also got to run 2 companies, have a family. And then I'm like, yeah, but you've set impossible standards with your circumstances.
I think with high-performing women, that is a battle in itself, because it's like, unless I can do something perfectly, and I'm not going to do it at all.
Nikki was spot on there in the sense of...
What are you saying I wasn't?
Yeah. No, you were...
With females as well, I think it's a lot of unlearning, like I said, but they only know one way to lose weight, which worked in their 20s, and now they're in their 40s and they don't know what to do.
I'm Ryan Stevens.
Dr. Taylor Waters.
I'm Ben Olliver.
Welcome to the Superhuman Show, yeah?
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Superhuman Show with your host, Ben Olliver, joined with the doc, Taylor Waters, Ryan Stevens, and special guest, Nikki Donovan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So today, it's perfect that you're on this one because I think everything is going to sound better if it comes out of your mouth compared to ours. But we are talking about high-performing women, the barriers that we see they face, how we approach their kind of nutrition and training to just get the best results, any kind of trends that you see just from your experience working with women, kind of with Supra. What are the common things, or again, already getting myself into whole or like excuses, you know, that people will come up with, and how we overcome those and still get results. So we always want to define something first. So, you know, I would class, for the sake of this podcast, like the high performing woman is going to be career driven, you know, very successful in certain areas of their life, likely career, probably has family, you know, husband, kids, busy nonstop, and now wanting to get into great shape. And maybe that's like the one thing that maybe it's been put on the back burner because they've been pursuing their career. Maybe it's been put on the back burner because they're focusing on their kids and their family. And now they've made the decision, right, it's time for me to kind of focus on myself. What are some kind of phrases or excuses or things that these women will say to you where either you agree with, empathize with, disagree with, and how do you handle those conversations? Because I'm going to take notes, so I don't put my foot in it with these clients.
I think you guys can talk about it as well. You've got loads of female clients.
Yeah, I think it's because we were talking about this just now. Like, me and Taylor don't have kids, and so I think when, just as a coach, if you're talking to a male or female client that has kids or a family and they're in like a very different environment to you, sometimes the relationship just struggles because they're like, you can't possibly know what this is like. And maybe you've worked with, you know, for example, like I've in a previous company, 90% of my roster was females. But even then, if I say, look, like I've worked with tons of women that have kids and this is the things that we recommend to do, sometimes it still falls on deaf ears of like, you don't really know. And it could come from it could be the exact same thing and come from a female coach that's got kids, and suddenly it's like the best coaching advice ever.
I think also, like on that end, receiving the information on their end can be a bit more, it's like, well, you're just a bloke in his 30s with no kids. Like, you don't know me. You don't know the experiences that I've gone through. So even though what we might be saying might be correct at the time, they don't receive it the same potentially just because they understand that they're, you know, he's saying that because he understands it, maybe because he's read a book. He's not saying this because he understands it, because he's lived it, because he hasn't. Yeah. I know you used to call yourself Barbara, but now that's changed. So.
But, you know, I think it's like, that could be resistance as well. Like, people have to be ready to hear things as well, and whether that comes from a male or a female, because I don't have any kids either. And I think it's about building that relationship with them early on. But also, I think what we do well in Supra is like, this program is individualized, and it's not just like, you know, I write your initial program and that's it. It's like, I'm going to work with you every week based off how this program feels and making it work for you. And I think that does get rid of a lot of the excuses, if you like. But it's like, we're going to drip feed this into your life as it is now.
Yeah.
That's one of the key things, because I'll often hear from like female clients, it's like, well, I don't have time because I've got kids, high performing, family. But it's because they set impossible standards for their current circumstances. So like when I have a conversation with a female client, say, yeah, well, I've got to go to the gym 5 days a week. I've got to do 15,000 steps, got to track my food, but I've also got to run 2 companies, have a family. And then I'm like, yeah, but you've set impossible standards with your circumstances. And like what Nikki said, we meet you where you are and figure out what you can do. Because if someone said, well, my lifestyle, you got to train 5 days a week, I'll be like,
I think
no time to do that.
a lot of times, I see it with guys as well, because I don't want this to be an episode of like we're just going to single out female clients, because there is a lot of similarities between the two. I've seen it more on the female side where maybe they've had coaches in the past that are just yes people, where it's almost like they're looking for confirmation that their excuses are valid. Whereas I always view a good coach as someone, their job is to challenge your perceptions, your beliefs, your habits, your behaviors, to get you out of your own way, to doing something that's more productive to get you towards what you believe your goal is. And so if someone says like, I just don't have time, it's my job as a coach to say, talk me through your day. Yeah. You know, because I'm going to look at it and see if I can find some time and then question you on that. And, you know, if they say, you know, I put my family first, then I would say, okay, you know, to what end? You know, like we've spoke about, what happens if your health takes a downward turn and you're not able to provide for your family? Would you then think that being selfish is a good thing so you can be a better parent and be more active with your kids and do these things? And it's our job to present a different perspective, to just try and get people to think a little bit differently. And I think sometimes it's met with resistance because people aren't willing to give up their beliefs, and they believe so fully with what they're doing, or they're just reluctant to face the truth, like the objective truth, because it sucks. Like sometimes it really sucks where if someone has been doing this thing and they believe themselves that it's working, and then you show them and you're like, this thing hasn't worked for years. It's like, you know, when we've spoken about in the past where you get clients that say, this diet works really well for me, I don't respond well to carbs, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're 250 pounds. Like, from my understanding, you have no idea what works for you, because if you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So before we even talk about what we're going to do as a plan, are you willing to listen to me and take my advice? Because we can clearly see that what you've been doing hasn't been working. And if they go no, then there's no point even going further. Yeah. And I've seen that with a lot of female clients that I've worked with, where they will just hold on to something so tightly, and it almost comes down to like, if you're not going to let this thing go, like you are not going to make progress. And so now we have to decide, like, are you happy just remaining the same and just holding on to this thing, or are you going to finally like let it go?
On our onboarding call, like we'll often see like when a client will say, well, I want to achieve this thing, but, and then they'll list all the excuses, almost like, well, you were giving them so much power, almost like it can't be changed. Whereas like the ones who are open to change, they're like, well, I want to achieve this thing, and these are the things I struggle with. So it's almost like they're open to overcoming these obstacles.
Yes, it's the and instead of the but.
But yeah, that's exactly it. So it's like, oh, well, I have a family, I have kids, I travel a lot, whatever it may be. And it's like, okay, cool. Like you said, let's pull up your diary. Let's see where we can find like 3 days a week to train, or 2 days. Yeah. And then what I said earlier about like they have standards which is just so unreasonable from whatever reason, looking on social media, that is like, yeah, there's no way you're going to do that in your current circumstances, but you don't need to do that. Like all we need to do is, I don't know, 5,000 steps instead of 15 for whatever. So you recalibrate their expectations, like, oh, now it actually seems way more feasible.
Yeah.
I think with high performing women, it's like that is a battle in itself, because it's like, unless I can do something perfectly, then I'm not going to do it at all. Or it's just like, maybe because, you know, they are so successful, it's like an industry or an area where they just don't have any confidence. Or even just going to the gym, it's like, they feel a bit embarrassed that they're in, you know, 40s, most of my clients are, but they've just never been to the gym. So it's just like really sort of having to do the deep work with them. Yeah. Not just being like, oh, well, just go to the gym. It's just like, there's so much more to it than that. And it's such a learned behavior over time. It's like, you have to do the deep work that goes with it. Not just, you could write the best program ever, but if they're not going to stick to it. Then,
it's, I mean, even when I remember when I first started going to the gym when I was like 15, I was an overweight 15-year-old. And then you go into a gym and there's obviously people that know what they're doing. You don't know anyone there. Like I would literally hide in the corner on like 2 machines and hope that no one looks at me. And so when people say like, I'm really shy going to the gym, I completely get it. And
I remember walking in and thinking everyone just like turned and looked, and you're like, oh my
daunting.
God.
And so guys experience it as well. Like it's nerve wracking when you first go. And my advice is always like, find the biggest meathead in there that you really don't want to talk to, and go and talk to them. And I guarantee they're the friendliest person in there, because they just love training and they'll talk to anyone about it. But equally, everyone is thinking the exact same thing. They're so self-conscious of themselves. They're not worried about you. But even me saying that, you're still going to feel nervous and uncomfortable going. But it's just like, go for 10 minutes, you know, then maybe go for 15 minutes and just build up over time. Don't go from 0 to 5.
And that's the best way to do it. Like, rather than running away from that fear, is like you face her head on in like small increments.
Yeah.
You know, go for 10 minutes, go for 5 minutes. Take someone with you who's confident in the gym if you've got like a friend, till eventually you're able to go on your own.
I think Nikki was spot on there in the sense of.
What are you saying? I wasn't.
Yeah.
No, you were like semi-right. Nikki was spot on.
You two can go home now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave.
In the sense that it's like these women, like they've become so successful in like business, for example, is because like at one point in their life, they went all in on business. That started to get momentum. They kept that going. Now they're really good at it. So it's like, I do lots of this thing that I'm really good at, and they're confident. They might be in like the boardroom meetings. They might be calling the shots, and they're just like the alpha female in that field. Then like they've been a mother for 10 years. They're successful. They're in a good financial position. They're a great mum. And then it's like, oh, do you want to go spend some time now doing this thing that you haven't done since like the last time you did this?
And
you were in
you're
school.
a complete beginner.
A complete novice. And it's like, not really, no. Do you also want to pay someone to make you do it as well? Like, not really, no.
And
it
chase
must-
you up if you haven't done it.
Yeah, exactly. It must be so hard to, once you've been so good, you've created a world whereby you're just like unbeatable. Like, I'm so good in everything that I do. And now I've got to step out of that world and back into the beginner world where I'm a complete novice. And it's just so daunting when you're like 15, 16, you suck at loads of stuff and everyone around you sucks at stuff as well. So you're just like, hey, let's just give it a go. But when you're at that point in your life, when you haven't done something you suck at for 20 years, then it's, do I really want to go back to doing something that I'm not very good at? And there's all these other women now who are maybe, I'm putting myself in their world where you're not the alpha anymore. You're in the gym and you're actually the beta now. And it's like, I can see how that's really tough, especially for those women who are super successful.
It's important as well, though, like the people who's calling shots in like the boardroom and stuff, they wasn't always doing that. So it's really important to like, when you first started, you sucked.
Yeah.
You did all these things to eventually be a CEO, whatever it may be. And like, look at where you are now. So you have to remember the journey there. And it's like, you were just starting a new journey to get the outcome that you say you want. Drop 100 pounds, wherever it may be. So it's like, you are going to suck. But the only way to get better and get what you say you want is to improve on it and be intentional with it.
The other thing I see is exactly what you said, Taylor, where they're very successful and just a champion at all these other things. And the word I use is like advanced. But then they assume that because they're advanced in everything else, they're advanced in this as well. And they need this crazy fancy plan, and I need this and I need that. And you look at it and it's like, you're a complete beginner. You don't need any of this stuff. Like, we just need to go walk for 30 minutes right now. And it's humbling, and it knocks the ego a little bit, where it's, I know you're an expert at these things, but it's like someone that's never looked at their finances going, I need like the most elaborate financial plan to make me wealthy in 10 years. When really it's like, you need to stop buying shoes. Like, that's like step one. Like, we need to just pay off debt. Like, that's the first thing we need to do. Like, we're not going to go in investing in crypto just yet. But it's because you're advanced in other areas, you think that. And then I think the other thing which I've seen so much of now, and this affects the male side as well, is because of social media and all these things, we're in the era of kind of fads, gimmicks, biohacking, all of this stuff. And I feel like if I had to put like a ratio, I would say like 60-40 female to men, because it affects the men as well. But they get so entrenched in these rituals, routines, whether it's breath work, meditation, ice baths, affirmations, like infrared sauna, that they already have explained to me how busy they are and how little time they have. And then I'm like, so you're doing a 2-hour morning routine, which involves like reading a bit of a book, doing some journaling, maybe doing some breath work and all this stuff. And I'm like, but is it really helping you? Like, I'm sure it has some benefits, but like, can we just give up an hour of that and maybe go for a walk or do some lifting or something? Because it will get to a point that it's like, something has to give. And like, if you're spending 2 hours in the morning in a gratitude journal, then it's like, well, rather than writing down what you're thankful for, fucking show it. And, treat your body with some respect and do something. But I find trying to have that conversation is quite like combative, and it can almost offend people when you're like, your morning routine is nonsense.
Yeah.
have you had to speak with any clients about that stuff, Nikki? Like where you're looking through their day and like their schedule and you're like, there's so much wasted time where they think they're being productive, but it's not actually taking them towards their goal. And then how do you have that conversation without, getting told to F off basically?
I think you're right. Is like leveling with them with regards to shortening it, and like even trying to understand what value they see in it and like where it sort of come from. Because again, I can't speak for males, but like diet culture as a female is like, lots of people have got lots of unlearning to do as well as learning, and it can be quite sort of a male dominant sort of area in the gym and things like that. And from that sense, it's like doing the deep work, because I think they think they're doing that through the things they're doing. So you're trying to get them to actually see that that's not the work they need to be doing. And then my clients probably get sick of me saying this, but I always tell them that growth is uncomfortable. And I'm like, I think even though it seems like you're doing the hard work with the journaling and things, sometimes that's more of a comfort zone than, as we're saying, stepping into the gym. Whereas it's like, I think people romanticize this and the before and afters. Obviously, it is an amazing experience and you do come out the other side a different person. But in order to do that, you have to go through the uncomfortable parts, and that is growth. And I think people just romanticize growth as like this amazing thing that's going to feel fantastic. But it's like, it's actually going to be really hard day to day, and you're going to have to do a lot of stuff that might feel alien to you, uncomfortable. And they think, and they have tried it all in some ways, or they think they've tried it all, but it's just getting them out of that mentality. It's like, well, I'm only asking you to do X, Y, and Z, and getting them to buy into that really. And then slowly over time, you see that shift, and it's like, oh, it's actually working.
Yeah.
It almost becomes like these things become like an avoidance of like doing like the real work.
Yeah.
They almost try and make themselves sound busy and like make themselves seem productive. It's like you're washing your clothes by hand, you can just put them in the washing machine. They're almost trying to fill time with stuff to avoid doing the stuff that actually gets the results.
Yeah.
It's like you can meditate for 20 minutes instead of 2 hours, and then use the other time to go and do the real work. And that's where you was talking about like the uncomfortable conversations. When you start offering those suggestions, like, tell me why you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Ask them why they don't want to do it. And it's like they have to face that then and be like, oh God.
It's a really funny clip I saw of I don't know if you guys have seen it, the show Super Nanny, and it's an English nanny, and she goes to American families because she had a show in the UK, and then it was like Super Nanny abroad, but she basically goes into families where the kids just wreak havoc on the place, the parents have got no control. She comes in and shows them how to discipline the kids correctly, get them to kind of follow rules, make sure they're helping around the house, this kind of stuff. And there was one clip where she sat around the table with the mum and the dad. And she talks to the dad, and she's like, talk me through your day. And he works like 16 hours a day. And he's like, I leave at 4 a.m. I'm on like a construction site or whatever. I come back at like 8 p.m., put the kids to bed, like wash my hands, have some food, go to bed. And then she looks at the wife and goes like, and when does your like work day start and end? And she's like, oh, it never ends. And then she went, really? Because all I've seen you do is walk to and from these rooms all day doing nothing. And it's like, you're not doing anything with the kids. You're not doing any of the chores. You make yourself feel like you're doing this stuff. But all I've seen you on all of the cameras all day is you potter upstairs, you twiddle your fingers, you walk back downstairs, you go to the living room, you go to the dining room, you go back and forth, you make a cup of coffee. You don't do anything. And it was like, you could see the look on her face of like, I've finally been caught. And someone has like put the mirror in front of me, and it's like, I'm just completely procrastinating all day. And I've tricked myself to thinking I'm busy.
Which
when
is
it's
worse.
like, you've done fuck all. Like, you've got nothing to show for it. And it's such a hard conversation to have with people, because it's like you feel like they're calling you out and almost calling you like a fraud. And your immediate reaction is to always be defensive. But until you have that conversation and kind of like really look at it and be like, you're right. Like, I'm not actually doing anything. I'm procrastinating. Like, online coaching is the same. Yeah. The amount of online coaches I know, and they're like, oh my God, I'm just flat out. And it's like, you've been on Instagram for an hour. Like, you've not done any work for the last hour. You're just sat in front of your laptop. But it's you'll trick yourself being like, oh, flat out today. And it's like your screen time's 10 hours on your phone because you're just browsing. And so I think a lot of times people will do that with these routines and stuff. And it's like, oh, I don't stop on the self-work. And it's like, but it's not working. Like you're doing all these things, exactly what you said, where you convince yourself that you're doing the hard work and the deep work, and words like trauma come up, and like all of these things. And it's like, I'm doing all the hard deep work, but it's like, but you've got nothing to show for it. And if the work was working, you wouldn't be doing it 3 years later, like exactly the same. Like you'd maybe be on maintenance at this point, but it's just, the deep work is actually seeing a therapist once a week and doing what they recommend versus trying to fix yourself when you're not qualified. But then also getting the harsh reality of like what you're doing isn't actually helping you. And all we're trying to do is help. Like,
It's a bit like instant gratification. Like you read a self-help book, you feel good for like a moment, and then it's like, oh, nothing changes.
But you haven't helped yourself.
Yeah.
But like you're saying with having the hard conversations, it's like, not that we're trying to one up our clients, but I'm like, you're here for a reason and we need to delve into that. And maybe the systems that you've got in place aren't working, so they do need change. And it's like, it's just getting that across to them, really.
Yeah.
I think one of the key barriers that we've spoken about with us too, and obviously Nick, I'm sure you can chime in on this as well, is like from a physiological standpoint, it is harder for women.
100%.
Like it is, like they're generally smaller. They generally have less muscle mass. Their metabolic rate is generally slower. And then you put them in the world where the environment now drives weight gain through. So like social norms are like going out for food, having your coffees and stuff.
Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, that's place.
A chicken Caesar salad is like 1,600 calories.
Yeah.
It's like,
insane.
okay, so that's 300 calories more than you need for your day.
Yeah.
But then equally, you've got a husband that can get away with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I think I'm being good eating the salad. And it's like, the game is rigged. It's like, it's rigged for you to fail, as sad as it is.
So like you're both living the family life. Your husband's walking around pretty lean, pretty normal. You're living the family life and you're 20 pounds overweight. And it's like, hold on, I'm living the same life as he's living.
Yeah.
Like, how is this different for us? So it is, and again, like, from a muscle building standpoint, they don't build muscle as fast either. So it's like, so you get fatter more easy. It takes you longer to build muscle. You haven't done any significant physical activity since school. And now you've had 3 kids, and now we're looking to solve that problem. And it's going to be a long road. And then I think, again, taking the first few steps on a really, really long road, it's just like, oh God, it can seem so daunting. So again, it is from a physiological standpoint. And then when you factor in societal norms these days, it's definitely a tricky task to approach. Whereas like, how common is it where you have a guy who comes into the program and he's lifted weights most of his life. He's just been a bit of a pig. He's got a bit overweight.
Yeah.
You like diet him down like 30 pounds and he's like, he works on like, he's super active with his job. He likes going out for a bike ride with the boys. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, 30 pounds down, 2 months, he looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, I found that's a lot more common when I coach men than it is when I coach women.
Yeah.
When I coach women, it's more of a longer road where this is going to be like 3 years minimum of consistent work to build like some really strong foundations and to get to where you want to get. Where those like 4-month wicked transformations, I don't get that common with females.
Basically, you guys got it easy.
Yeah. But this is the thing though. It's like it's where you might get women say like it's not fair. And you say, it's not.
No.
It's not fair. Like, there's a lot of stuff in life that isn't fair. Here are your options. Moan about it not being fair and do nothing. Or work with what you've got. Like, and that's, it sucks to say, but it's like, well, here, like, just what we were saying in another podcast is like, well, what's the alternative? And, if people say, well, I can't lose weight because of my metabolism or my lifestyle. And if you go, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, you're never going to lose weight. Then they go, well, I can. I can lose weight. And it's like, you just told me you can't do it. And so it's like, you can, but it's all belief and perception.
Yeah.
And it's definitely more uncomfortable for women to drop body fat because I think just from a hormonal standpoint, from a lifestyle standpoint, like women generally weren't created to be super lean because you're trying to be in that optimal body fat to bear children. And so it's like your body is rigged, for reproduction. And so trying to get a 6-pack is a lot harder than a guy trying to get a 6-pack from testosterone, estrogen, all these different things. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but like it is a lot harder. Yeah. And it's no different than a 5'10" white guy trying to play in the NBA. You can do it. There are guys that have done it. Really fucking hard to do it. And
that's why it's disheartening as well sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
so what do you think if you take on one of our, like, a stereotypical Supra client from a female standpoint, so again, working or, successful businesswoman, kids, what are you looking to do to avoid or to overcome some of these barriers that we're running through?
Set clear expectations from the get-go.
I mean, like the very first thing that, like for I don't want to say for female clients in general because everyone's different, but I focus a lot more on understanding like their thought processes, their beliefs, making sure that I am truly empathizing with their situation and build as much rapport on like the emotional side as possible, because without that, I can't have any of the conversations that I want to have. With some guys, you know, you don't need to be best friends and you can just, you know, call them out and they'll go, yeah, I understand, got it. I think on the female side, that relationship is really, really important. Like working with Candy, like my long-term client, the first conversation we had, I was like, the only way this works is if we become best friends. Yeah. Like, so we're not even going to talk about nutrition. We're just going to get to know each other. And because if we can't talk frequently and be frank with each other, we ain't losing anything. And that's what we spent the first couple of weeks, is just like getting to know each other. And then I could, you know, call her out on things. She'd be like, yeah, and she'll take it on board and not get upset. But I think if you go straight into that without the relationship, it's immediately butt heads. I don't want to work with this person. They don't understand me. I feel dismissed. All of these things. I'm not in my safe space. God, I hate that.
That's why one of our values is like rapport before results, because it allows you to have hard conversations and it be well received rather than being like, oh, he doesn't like me.
Yeah.
Well, they've got to know that you want it for them as well, and you've got their best interests at heart. And with females as well, I think it's a lot of unlearning, like I said, but they only know one way to lose weight, which worked in their 20s, and now they're in their 40s and they don't know what to do. But sometimes they're still resistant, or they just don't have the belief that it's going to work for them. So it's just like just getting them started on that momentum and letting go of, you know, the weight they used to weigh that they want to get to. And like you're saying with the 6-pack, we had this conversation the other day where I was like, I'm as lean as I can be for the lifestyle that I want. Yeah. And it's like, that's really important to me more than being leaner. Yeah. So it's just like really sort of managing their expectations. But there's so much more to it, because I remember even having a conversation where, like we're saying with, you know, even what you're wearing, suits and things to work, it's just like some of my clients didn't have any active wear, and there's a minefield now. People are in like all these matching sets and stuff. It's really intimidating. They're having to go out when they don't feel good about themselves, buy new clothes to even go to a gym where they don't want to go to. And it's just like, you have to actually be able to think about these things as a coach and be able to empathize, because it is really difficult. And then I've got some on the other side of it where they're 40 pounds down and then just, you know, going off grid, and then we're having a conversation about it and they're like, I just feel like I'm being really vain and I don't deserve it. And it's just like so much of that emotional baggage with it. And, you know, am I being selfish? What about my kids? So
it's even from when you talk about the emotional side, you can even have it where, you know, if you're a male coach working with a female client, if you communicate with them that maybe reminds them of a former relationship where someone was trying to tell them what to do and they kind of rebelled against it, they'll always rebel against you, because it's like, it's bringing up this feeling of like, oh, someone tried to control me and get me to eat these things and do these things, and it feels like the same. And you're like, no, I had no idea. Yeah. And so it's really important to kind of just have those conversations, like how is the best way for me to communicate with you, and let's come to maybe it's a compromise, because there's going to have to be some shift, otherwise they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. But you get their input as well. Like, you know, if there is something that I need to bring to your attention, which, you know, maybe is uncomfortable, how would you like me to approach that with you? And we do the same thing with the male clients. I think it's just their tolerance is probably a little bit higher. But I think all of that stuff, and it's so funny because this whole conversation, we've not once mentioned calories, protein, supplements. It's because all of that stuff is secondary to the coach-client relationship. And if that's not there, then it doesn't work.
I'll tell you, so when I asked that conversation, like when there's awkward conversations, like how would you best like me to communicate with you? Like the females will be honest. Most men will go, oh, I like to just be told what to do.
They don't like it.
And then you do it, and it's like, they get offended.
They get really upset. Yeah.
So it's like, right, let's recalibrate our expectations.
Yeah. But this is where, like, and because we you know, we talk to all of our coaches about this, the soft skills of like, even the tone in your voice when you ask a conversation. Like, it's the difference of me talking to a female client and going, what's going on, versus what's going on? And it's like just that, like one they've now done this and they don't want to talk to me. And the other one, they start crying and start offloading everything. And it's little things like that that I think is so key to being a great coach, is you have to know the right body language, the right tone, the right time to use them, because there's times to do both. And it's one of those things that like you really can't teach. You just have to experience over and over and make the mistakes and be like, right, note to self, don't do that next time.
How you say what you're going to say plays a massive role.
Yeah.
But sometimes even if I need to text one of my clients, I'll just voice note instead, because I'm like, this is just going to sound like I don't want them to misconstrue what I'm saying.
Yes.
Or tone it or anything.
Throw a couple of emojis in there.
That's my favorite. I think there's one. Well, there's a few things that pop to mind. In the first one is trying to shift from the aesthetic mindset to a more performance mindset. Because as we said, sometimes you're so far from where you want to be aesthetically, time-wise, that if you're just prioritizing the aesthetics, it's going to take a long, long, long time to get there. And then you might be a year in, and you're a year of good, productive work, and you're still nowhere near where you want to be. And that can be demoralizing. Whereas if you start switching, I'm not saying aesthetics aren't important, because that is the end goal as well. But if you can look at, like you look at CrossFit people, for example, the shift is on performance. And I think that's an area where some women can fall short. They don't train very hard. And if you don't train very hard, it ain't going to take you 3 years. It's going to take you, 20 years, and you're still not there, because you don't train hard enough. But if you do something like CrossFit, where the priority becomes performance, what happens is you're chasing those performance goals. Therefore, you are actually training hard. And as a byproduct, then you're actually building muscle, and aesthetically, you're getting better. And then within 3 years, you're like, oh, I haven't even been worrying about my aesthetics that much. I do pay attention, but I'm actually now seeing way more benefits just because one, I'm enjoying the process more. And two, I'm actually getting even better aesthetic results, because I'm not just going in the gym and like doing these half-assed fluffy workouts. I'm actually pushing myself hard because I'm against the clock, or I'm chasing numbers, or I'm competing against someone else. So I think that's where, obviously, you don't have to do CrossFit to do that, but you do see a lot with girls who are into CrossFit. They do build a lot more muscle and a lot more strength than girls who just go and do like standard bodybuilding style workouts. And then Nikki said about, feeling guilty that it's taken away from business and family life, but then also teaching them about the benefits that being fit does have on their family life. Like if your kids see you exercise, the chances of them growing up and exercising and being healthy is so much higher. So by maybe having a home gym in the house and exercising in front of your kids, look what that then does for your kids. If you eat well and have a good diet and provide good dinners, the chances are that your kids are going to take on those healthy behaviors. So now it's like, all this fitness stuff is actually for my kids. So you told me you want to be a good mother and you want to do stuff for your kids. Well, here we go. We've got a full bucket of stuff that is going to benefit your kids. So now it's like, actually, this thing is not just for me. It's not selfish. There's way more to it.
Well, that very same client is now doing pull-ups, and she sent me a video, and her kid's like, "Whoa, that's so cool!"
Yeah. I saw one. Again, this is a male, but he does some workouts from home, and he sent me a video, and his kid's in the gym, like his kid's in his like pajamas. He's got like Lion King pajamas on, and he's got these two little dumbbells and his head to lift them. But it's like, and that's what I was saying to him. I was like, look, your kids are paying attention. Like when you were sat down stuffing Twinkies before bed, your kids were paying attention. Now you're in the gym and you're lifting weights, they're still paying attention. So it's like those habits that you built before, you're now, like, if you kept doing them, your kids were likely going to fall into the same sort of trap. Whereas now you're not only doing it for yourself, but the people around you. Like, how many times do you have clients like, oh, I've lost 40 pounds. My wife's not even on the program. She's down 15. Oh, my mate from work, he's also copying me and he's down 20. And it's like, you notice the people around you start to see what you're doing and imitate it, or it motivates them because they've seen someone similar. Like if you live with someone who's made loads of progress with their fitness, well, you're like, oh, well, I've got a really similar life to them. Like I live in the same house. We got the same kids. Like we both have jobs. Like surely if she can do it, I can do it as well. Or if he can do it, then I can. So it's like, there's so much more benefits to be had. And then like from an energy standpoint in work, it's like, I'm always tired from work. Well, the fitter you are, the easier your day gets.
Yeah.
So, unless obviously you're trashing yourself like I do, but it's like, so like there's so much other benefits. So once they're aware of the benefits that come with living a fitter, healthier lifestyle, now it's like, maybe this time investment is not just vain. It's not just selfish, because there's so much more to it.
There's like originally like a big mindset shift is that they feel that this stuff takes away from all the other stuff, whereas what I try and speak to my clients is it's a multiplier. It adds to it in the ways that you have just described. Like we've had clients in the program say, like, my sex life is better because I'm down like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Like there's so many
Oh,
benefits.
surprising.
Hey,
It's I think it's,
don't get out of breath.
but that's the thing as well. It's like initially it can take away, because like if you're trying to improve your strength, what happens after you train? You're sore.
Yeah.
And it's like, it like no different with fitness. You're going to feel more tired in the day because you've exerted yourself more, and your body's got to adapt to this new level of fitness, but it compounds over time. So it's like, yeah, like maybe for that first 2 weeks, you're like, man, I'm exhausted. But then your body levels up and you can now handle that workload, and then you feel better during the day. So it's like the initial kind of, you're dropping your calories and doing more. You've got this kind of like energy dip whilst your body is kind of like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. And then you get used to it. And then when you drop 10 pounds, you're like, it's so much easier. I'm using less energy to do what I used to have to do. Yeah. And so I think it's that delayed gratification and just playing the long game of like, it may feel worse before it gets better, but it does get better. Yeah. So don't quit in that kind of like, those initial couple of weeks when it is hard. Like, yeah, you're changing your food, you're going to the gym, you're doing more steps, your legs are tired, you're sore when you get up out of bed in the morning, but it does go. Yeah. And the best example was it was a US weightlifter coach, John Brose, where he talked about training his athletes, and he was like, we max out every day, and the guys feel like they just want to quit. And he goes, but we max out every day. But he said, if you got a job as a garbage man, and he goes, the first day that you're picking up trash, he's like, your shoulders hurt, your elbows hurt, your back hurts, like your feet are blistered from your boots. And he goes, within a month, you're tossing trash in there like you've done it your whole life. You don't get sore. Your body's got used to it. And he goes, that's the same with pretty much everything. It's like you feel like shit, and then you feel good. But most people will quit a week in being like, I'm just not cut out for this. But it's like, you haven't given yourself time to adapt.
Yeah.
I have this conversation a lot as well, because going back to like growth and things, it's like you have to do the uncomfortable parts, and also that's the beauty of it, because no one else is doing it, and that's what's going to change your identity. Is like, yes, you've got the before and after, but it's the person that you're becoming during the times that is really difficult. And it's like, that can actually be really exciting. It's just a reminder, like, if it was easy, then everyone would do it.
Yeah.
And I think John says this a lot. It's like, having the different kind of respect when you're going into the boardroom and going into those environments. And especially as a female, it's the most empowering thing I've done for myself, is to get strong. And it's like, no one can ever take that away from you either. So no one knows how much work it actually takes. And I think that's quite disheartening at the start, because it's like, actually, this is going to be quite hard or take quite a lot of effort. Yeah. But it's not anything that anyone can ever take away from you.
You almost become like more useful in like real life as well. And I often say to clients, especially with kids, because something I've noticed is that just simple things like you can play with your kids. You take a kid to a play center, right? Look around. 99.9% of parents are sat at the table like shouting at the kids in the playroom. You'll see like the 1%, often just myself, like up there with them playing and stuff. Yeah. It's like you make more quality memories, because I ask my kids, what do you want to do? They just want to play. Yeah. It's like, but I'm tired. Yeah. It's like, though, coming home from school, I'm tired. All right, I'll carry you. Yeah. Whereas like dragging them along because you can't pick them up. Like, you don't see those benefits.
Carrying their bike because they're bored of riding their bike.
Enables you to be a better parent.
Yeah, you don't see those benefits until like the moment comes. It's like, come and play with me, Dad. It's like, oh God, I can't get up off the sofa. It's like, I'll come play.
Yeah. And I think people are trying to provide for their family long term, or give their kids the best life as they grow up financially. But imagine you can teach them all that, or give them an appreciation of that for when they get older, because it's just life changing.
Yeah, I think the I know we kind of spoke about kind of self-talk and affirmation and stuff and how it can waste time, but like I think a little bit of self-talk is good, because like you mentioned, like where it's like no one else is doing this stuff, and I always kind of do it to myself. Like if I'm, if in my garage doing cardio at like 11 at night, and I'm like, I don't see anyone else in their garage kind of doing this. And it's really funny, because I would like, when I was, maybe getting up early to do my steps or something, I'd be walking out, no one's out. And I'm in my head, I'm like, no one
You're
else.
smug.
No one else is doing their steps. And then I'd be walking, and then I'll see a 75-year-old woman up walking, and I'm like, oh, but it's like that kind of stuff. It's like, it doesn't mean anything. It's like I don't view myself as a better person because I'm getting up early and walking. But in the moment, because I don't want to get up at 6 and do steps, but if I can do that and then look around and be like, no, everyone else is in bed, like pat on the back, Ben, like good job. And it's those little things where, you know, if you're a woman and you go into the gym and there's no other women in there, you're like, I'm the only woman that's willing to put myself in this uncomfortable situation. Like, good job. Like, and
you're almost celebrating the small win there. So it's like positive reinforcement, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
But
And you do have to, because it's a long journey.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, we were just speaking about it, weren't we? Like, so almost like those milestones. If someone wants to lose 100 pounds, don't just celebrate 100 pounds. You're going to be really annoyed. Celebrate 1 to 99 as well. You know?
Yeah. I think, again, we spoke about that barrier in terms of just going to the gym. Like, again, it can be very male dominant. And I think going somewhere where you're not useful it can be rough. So one of the best pieces of advice I give is just, if you don't know what to do in the gym, just get a coach. Get a coach, let them show you the basics. Because at least if you know how to squat, leg press, lunge, chest press, shoulder press, row, once you've got that done, you're fine. Now you can go to any gym wherever you want and feel fine. But when you walk into a gym, you don't really know what you're doing. That's when you're like, oh my God, I feel like an idiot in here. Then you don't enjoy it because you feel like an idiot. So like, let's just get that done. And you can learn that in a month. Just get a coach to take you there twice a week. Don't say like, teach me sessions. Like, you're not there to work out. You're there to learn those basics.
The routine.
Yes. And then you can get programming and stuff done for you and you can do whatever you want then. But just learn how to do the basic movement so you don't feel like an ass when you go in a gym. Because if you never learn, you're going to feel like an ass in 6 months as well, because you still don't know. You're just trying to go in and wing it. So like, but once you've mastered the basics, that feeling of anxiety as you walk into a gym be gone. You won't even notice. You'll just be, oh, well, you go in and you feel comfortable again. But it's like, you can fast track that so easy just by getting someone to show you, or train with someone who does know what they're doing. Yeah. So you can go in and be like, oh, they can show you. It's so much easier. Like,
not your husband, they're annoying though.
Me and Jess have butt heads quite a few times at this talk. So
but like the accountability partner, like going with a friend or something that wants to do it as well is huge. The community aspect of like Superhuman, you know, is huge, where you can talk to other people that are in similar situations and get advice from them as well if they found something that's worked. Like, I think that part is huge, because it can feel sometimes like you're alone doing it when there are loads of other women doing it as well, just scattered around the place. And I think Supra is great to kind of just have that community aspect together, where, you know, you can make new friends through the program and you know, build relationships and maybe meet up and train and that kind of stuff. Like, I think that's a huge one as well. I think men need that as well, but at the same time, we can work kind of in solitude quite well. Whereas I think women really do thrive in that community kind of just environment. And I think you know, Katie Fleece, you know, who heads our Superwomen department, does a phenomenal job there. But yeah, I mean, I think we've covered a lot of really good points, but I think the main ones are going to be, you know, get out of your own way, you know, I think, and be willing to just listen to your coach. I think over communicate and build the relationship. I think that's huge. I think accepting that it's not fair and it's probably going to require more work than you would like to put in or what you think is required. And then what you said, Nikki, like, growth is uncomfortable. And I think the sooner you get comfortable being uncomfortable, the easier anything is. But I think if you always run away from discomfort, like, you'll get really, really frustrated. And then I would just say, what's more uncomfortable, being frustrated every day, or the slight discomfort that you experience being a little bit hungry, but knowing you're still going to get towards your goals?
100%.
Perfect. Well, thank you as always, guys, for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and we'll see you next time.
If you love this show, please like, share, and leave us a 5-star review so that we can help more people. I'm John Madsen, reminding you to always go get what's yours.